the message that we bring to the COP conferences is really the message that there has to be a change of awareness, a change of consciousness. And when we have that change, then what's going to happen is that with that paradigm shift, it'll be possible to see how it's not necessary to get into the whole thing of consumer society and materialism, but rather you're going to be able to find your happiness and your peace inside, and that's going to mean a big, big transformation in everything. But also, when there's that awareness of who I am, and the dignity within, and the self-respect of myself, then I'm going to treat other human beings with respect and fairness. And so equity is a word that people are talking about, but equity doesn't come about just like that. Equity happens if you have that respect for another human being, and you can't have a treaty telling you to have respect. It has to be from one's own consciousness and heart. And so the change within is what's going to change our quality of relationships, but also the information that's now available about vegetarian diet versus non-vegetarian diet is huge. And so, the figures are that we need the amount of food that we have available on the planet is actually enough to feed 10 billion people. And so how come people are still starving? And humanity and civilization hasn't been able to deal with such a basic factor of being able to provide food for all. And so I think, again, it's a shift of consciousness that's needed so that we don't throw away 30% of our food stock into biofuels and also feed for the cattle that human beings are going to be eating.
It's very ambitious what you're talking about. How do you how would you go about trying to change the way people think en masse? Because I suppose on an individual or group basis, there are people all around the world who subscribe exactly to what you're saying. But in our materialist world, where we all see flashing iPads everywhere and sort of great new toys, and we're coming up to Christmas time, where people will be banging on people's doors asking for new presents. How do you go about changing that? Because many religious institutions have tried, and it seems a battle they're losing.
It feels as if nature is overtaking everything, in the sense that we keep getting hit by huge, huge natural disasters, and of course the latest one in the Philippines. And so when we see things like that happen, we can't deny that climate change has been caused by human intervention, and we're seeing the disasters as a result of that. And I think as we begin to see the impact of climate change in very practical ways that actually shake us, I think we're going to realize that things out there will only change when we have changed. So I think nature is saying, okay, you take your time over discussions and negotiations and come to whatever conclusions you want or don't want, but I'm going to get on with my job. I have to sort out this imbalance and bring about a shift so that then there's harmony within nature again.
Okay, so if you were put on stage at the main plenary and they said you can address all the negotiators, you've got a sort of 1 minute, what would you say to all of the people, these hard-headed, sharp-suited negotiators who, all have to represent their own national positions? What's your main message to them?
I would say to them that human species is actually an endangered species at the moment. And so if you want the survival of humanity, then it has to be a shift of consciousness, and you people are the people who can make things happen. And so if you don't do it now, then there's danger ahead. That's the message I would give them. But I would also remind them that the power of peace, the power of prayer, the power of vibrations has amazing effect. When you start feeling vibrations, things begin to shift within your consciousness, within your awareness. And so that's what we're also working with, using the power of vibrations and good wishes so that then people begin to understand.